Hey friends, I'm Jenna and welcome back to Roundup Save. If you're new here, the goal of this channel is really to help demystify money and to empower you to take control of your personal finances. So what better way to talk about personal finances than to speak about budgeting? I feel like budgeting is the pitfall of financial independence and managing your personal finances, because it just gets this really bad perspective because it seems so tedious and so challenging and like such a chore to do. But I've actually felt very empowered through very simple budgeting processes that I've used, and I want to take you through those budgeting processes and just the way I think about it, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you too. So without further ado, let's get into budgeting. For 2.5 years, I kept track of all of my expenses using a budgeting template, which I'll show you in just a little bit. But what I did is really tracked everything. So everything that I earned, everything that I saved, everything that I spent on. And so I think throughout the course of the year, it was really a really awesome exercise actually to be able to see okay, how much have I saved? How much am I spending on insurance? How much am I spending on rent? And how does that compare to where I want to be and what my goals are? And so I started budgeting in 2019. At the time I was living in a house with 2 roommates, and I wanted to move in with Neil, my boyfriend at the time, and wanted to just have a better sense about how much I could afford for rent given my income at the time. And so that's actually why I started budgeting. It wasn't really to be empowered or to keep track of all my expenses. It was really just to find out how much can I afford to spend on rent when Neil and I move in together, and what's that max budget for the 2 of us when looking for a new apartment. It ended up being such a great, thing to do and a great resource, and just found it to be very empowering. And so I'll take you through what my 2019 budget spreadsheet looked like, and then how I used what I learned in 2019 to make decisions about what I wanted to see in 2020 and 2021. And I'll take you through that so you can see how I use that information from 2019 to make decisions about 2020 and 2021. So keep in mind that the budget that I'm going to show you is one that I just found online, to be completely honest. Put it into Google Spreadsheets, and I did it in Google Spreadsheets because I wanted to be able to access it easily on my phone and to, just be able to update things in real time very quickly when I needed to. And so Google Sheets allowed me to have that flexibility and real-time access, which I really love. I also will walk you through the budget, and we'll show you how I modified each of the columns and things like that to make it based on what I need and what I knew I would be spending on. So it's very personalized to me, and I would encourage you that if you're going to use something like this, to personalize it to you as well. I think that's really helpful, and just to make sure that you're capturing all of the elements that you spend your money on and how you want to save your money as well. So let's look at the 2019 budget spreadsheet that I created. Okay, so here is my 2019 budget spreadsheet. As you'll see, I have kind of this dashboard, if you will. It doesn't look pretty. I don't really care that it looks pretty. It's just for me to be able to know exactly what I've spent on. So I have a total savings for 2019, and then you'll see tabs for January, February, March, every month of the year. And what I like about this is that I was able to track how much I actually saved month over month. You'll see some months where I saved more than what I was making in green, and some months in red. The red for me is not too big of a deal because I knew that, for example, in January, February, and March, I saved a lot more. So going over what I was making in April, May, and June wasn't too big of a deal for me, but it could be really important to track this way, because then you'll know how much flexibility and leeway you have. So at the time, I was working at a pharma consulting firm and was making roughly about $6,000 or so, we'll see, per month. And as you can see, I also tracked other things, like when I got a tax refund or bonus, or got paid 3 times in a month versus only getting paid twice a month, and other big life events too. So for example, I moved into a new apartment in May. My company merged with a different company and we ended up getting like a really nice bonus. So track that as well. Also wanted to track vacations. I always think that you should kind of spend mercilessly on the things that you love. And one of the things that I love is traveling and eating out. And so I thought it was going to be important for me to track that as well. And then total saved, and we'll go through this. So let's take a quick look at June of 2019. At the time I was actually making about $5,384. You'll see here that there's like the projected monthly income and the actual monthly income. Apparently I got $500 extra money that month. That's because you'll see here in the notes that my dad gave me $500 to spend on furniture at the new apartment. And then I have my fixed costs. So the left column is really mostly fixed costs. So housing, rent, I spent $14.91 on rent. My phone bill, electricity, cable, all of the taxes that I pay, my MBTA, like my Metro monthly pass, gas, my insurance, that's obviously a fixed cost. You can't get out of paying that. And then retirement. I would think I was contributing about 15% of my paycheck into 401k at the time, so that turned out to be $700 per month. But what I really like about this spreadsheet is that there's the projected and the actual. So for rent, like that's not really going to change, but for example, I would budget, $57 for my phone bill, but it actually ended up being like $56.65 this month. Or gas, I would budget $100, but actually only ended up spending $60.76. And now the right side of this spreadsheet is really more on like entertainment, non-fixed expenses. I know food is technically a fixed expense, but it's variable and it changes month to month, and so I wanted to be able to track that. So you'll see here I have like groceries, dining out, some entertainment, I got some gifts, did some shopping, clearly did a little bit more shopping than normal, signed up for a Spartan race later on that year, personal care, like hair, waxing, nails, fitness classes, I had a health coach at the time, great. And all of this is okay because I'm tracking everything. So moving into August, you'll see that my income also increased. I think this month I also had like got paid 3 times in the year. Similar thing. I think what I really liked about this spreadsheet though is that I could track my groceries, and this kind of fills directly into the total here. So like Neil and I were splitting groceries at this point, so our total bill was like $101 at Star Market, or we went to probably Trader Joe's and Whole Foods and spent like, I don't know, $109. So divided that by 2, $54 was my cost for that week. And then eating out. Obviously, eating out is a big expense. I went way over this month, probably because it was summertime and, everyone likes to eat out and be outside and be merry and happy. So really important for me to track that, and then I can kind of know what I need to do for the next month moving forward as well. So I think this is a good example of September. My rent, everything. I got did some spending, did some eating out. You'll see that this dining out piece, I'll end up changing this projected cost into more. And then also tracked some of my trips as well. But I think the biggest takeaway for 2019 for me was the total, this overview dashboard. So for me, tallying all of my totals for each month, I ended up saving $16,040.92. But then I tracked all my vacations. So from this total savings money, I subtracted my vacations, which I spent about $5,000 on vacations, which was great, which then gave me $10,900 left in the bank, and then wanted to make sure that I put in money into my Roth IRA, the maximum contribution amount, which that year was $6,000. So then I put in $6,000 and was left with an additional savings of $4,913.02. And here is where I think it's really important. So I saved a total of $10,000 in my 401k, this $4,900, $6,000 in my Roth IRA, and so my total savings for 2019 was $20,951.50, just shy of $21,000. But I earned $92,000 that year, so my savings rate was actually okay, 22%. But I knew that in 2020, I would want to increase my total savings rate. I kind of challenged myself to see how much I could get it. As you can see in these spreadsheets, I wasn't really contributing to my brokerage or anything like that. And so for me, it was really important to make sure that I could do that moving forward. So taking a look at 2020, now you'll see kind of similar setup. Of course, it's not pretty. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be something that you'll use. So taking a look at February, this was just before COVID. I got a tax refund, got some money from work, obviously. Kind of did the same thing, groceries, eating out, Amazon. And what I like about having the spreadsheet available on your phone is that like whenever I go out, like, okay, I went to, what do you call it? Let's see, here, Vinyl. Vinyl's like a bakery in Boston. I went out there for probably breakfast one morning, spent $10.70 on probably a muffin and sandwich and coffee or something like that. So I just input that directly into my phone and it makes it really easy. Don't have to really think about it, just done. So here, spent my usual. I'm tracking. May was actually in the middle of COVID. We were at the time living with Neil's parents, and so you'll see here, like, I didn't spend really much anything on groceries or eating out or anything like that. Still did some Amazon shopping. That's totally okay. And August was when Neil and I had moved back to Boston after living with his parents for a few months, and then you'll see like things start to come back to normal. Lots of groceries, still lots of eating out. But this is just really helpful for me. So one thing I said is that I wanted to increase my savings rate. And so what I did was increase my contribution to 401k. I guess now it was 15%, plus I had a bonus, and so I put all of that money into my 401k. I also started investing in my brokerage and in an Ellevest account, and so I'll link to my Why I Invest with Ellevest video, so you can check it out and learn more about Ellevest. But I really love them, and it was a really easy way to start investing into the stock market and make sure that I was contributing. Still had my normal savings, my Roth IRA contribution, ended up saving almost $35,000 this year. I mean, some of it was COVID, right? I had fewer expenses in some regards for a few months. But a lot of it was just me being more mindful and intentional about making sure that I was saving. And you'll see here, like, I still have some months in the negatives. Not a big deal, because overall I saved so much more than, what I went over. You'll still see here that I had some vacations. I, spent money on applying to grad school. But overall, I saved 36% of my income this year, which was amazing. I was really, really happy and really excited, and just felt like so empowered that, I could still travel, I could still eat out, I could still do all the things that I loved, but be able to know that I had 35% of my money saved, and that I could live perfectly fine on the rest of the money that I had and still be able to save. Hopefully you found this video of my budgeting process to be helpful. For me, again, just remember, this is what works for me, and this was my process, and it's just one way of how to do things. Please like the video if you like this content and want to see more of it, and don't forget to smash the subscribe button and drop a comment below if you've got any thoughts or feedback or want to see anything new. Thanks again for coming to Roundup Save, and we'll see you next time.